I'm a bit tired today and not in the mood. Fu Shen pulled my hand down and turned his back to me. Today was my ovulation period and the day we had planned to conceive, but now he was rejecting me. Perhaps realizing his actions were a bit excessive, Fu Shen turned around and embraced me. He kissed my forehead. Be good, go to sleep. Feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing, I knew something was wrong between us. So the next day, I deliberately left work early from the hospital, booked a romantic candlelit dinner, and prepared a surprise for Fu Shen. But before entering the door, I overheard his conversation with his good friend Ethan. I did love Jiang Wan before. Seeing her made me so happy. But now, thinking about her hands having touched so much blood, I feel disgusted. It's just that you're tired of her. Ethan spoke casually. Fu Shen didn't deny it. So you've been with that secretary? Her name is Shen Xinyue, right? This time, Fu Shen remained silent for a long time. No way. Are you serious? Fu Shen spoke softly, almost. I advise you to be careful. Everyone saw how much you loved Jiang Wan. You were willing to risk your life for her. Don't go too far and end up destroying yourself. If you end up chasing her back and she rejects you, no one will be able to help you. Fu Shen seemed to snort in derision. A woman's 10 years of youth, do you think she'd give that up? Fu Shen's words made my whole body go cold, as if I'd been thrown into an ice cellar. I thought back to all the times he'd rejected me recently. It wasn't that he was really tired, he just found me disgusting. Those two words pierced my heart like needles, causing me to gasp for breath. He knew how precious a woman's 10 years of youth were. Yet he used it as a tool to hurt me. I recognized the name Shen Xinyue. She was the new intern hired by Fu Shen's company. I still remembered the first time Fu Shen mentioned her, his eyes betrayed his admiration. He told me Shen Xinyue had lost to other competitors during the interview. But this girl refused to give up, begging the interviewer for another chance, even nearly breaking down in tears. This kind of perseverance is something many young people lack today. In the end, Fu Shen felt sorry for her and overlooked more qualified candidates, hiring her as an exception. At the time, I couldn't help but frown. Isn't this moral blackmail? Interviews are supposed to be based on ability, not on who is pitiful. This is unfair to the other candidates. Fu Shen, however, rarely showed his displeasure toward me. How did you become such a cold-hearted doctor? You have no compassion at all? It's my fault for protecting you too much. I didn't doubt myself because of his criticism and continued to argue with him. Because of this incident, we had a cold war for the entire night. Later, Fu Shen came to apologize humbly, and we made up. But I still remembered her name. I never expected her to become Fu Shen's personal secretary now. From that point onward, Fu Shen stopped sharing company matters with me. People have a natural desire to share. If they don't share with you, they're sharing with others. It turns out that all changes have their roots. That night, I went to bed early and felt the mattress sink beneath me. A cold hand wrapped around my waist. I suppressed the urge to vomit and grabbed Fu Shen's hand as he reached for my skirt. My voice was cold. I'm not feeling well. Fu Shen paused. I could feel his arousal, and suppressing it would be painful. But he didn't force me. Instead, he tenderly covered me with the blanket and went to the bathroom to relieve himself. He even took his phone with him. I didn't know when it started, but Fu Shen always took his phone with him whenever he went to the bathroom. A few moments later, I received a friend request on my phone. The profile picture was Shen Xinyue. Taking a deep breath, I accepted the request. Soon, a screenshot was sent to me. It was a chat log between her and Fu Shen, with the timestamp showing that it was sent while Fu Shen was in the bathroom. Shen Xinyue had sent Fu Shen the name of a hotel and a room number. She told him, I don't ask you to divorce me. I only want to give my first time to the man I love most. If you don't come, I'll just find another man. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's not you. Don't regret it. Fu Shen only replied with 2 words, wait for me. Just as I finished reading, Fu Shen came out of the restroom. Honey, there's an urgent matter at the office. I need to handle it. He had often used this excuse to leave in the middle of the night before, but out of trust, I had never asked. Now that I think about it, was he always going to meet Shen Xinyue? I'll go with you. Fu Shen paused for a moment, then smiled gently, ruffling my hair. Aren't you feeling unwell? Don't tire yourself out. I'd feel bad if you hurt yourself. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. He didn't respond and turned to leave. I got into my car and followed him discreetly. Fu Shen drove quickly, and I almost lost him several times. Shen Xinyue was waiting for him at the hotel entrance. The moment they met, they embraced and kissed passionately. It was as if they were lovers who had been separated for a long time. Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I took out my phone and took a photo. I even recorded a short video of about 10 seconds. I watched helplessly as the two of them walked into the hotel. After calming down in the car for a moment, I called my former graduate advisor, Dr. Harper. He was abroad at the time, and it was morning there. The call connected. Professor, does your project abroad still need more staff? Dr. Harper paused for a moment before responding with surprise. Have you decided? If it's you, we'll always need you. When I graduated from graduate school, Dr. Harper had already wanted me to join him abroad for a project. That was a very rare opportunity for me. But for Fu Shen, I chose to stay. Over the years, Dr. Harper never gave up trying to persuade me. But I always refused. Deep down, I actually wanted to go. Now, I can finally go without any reservations. I don't regret my choice back then. At that time, Jiang Wan wanted to pursue love. The current Jiang Wan has decided to pursue her dreams. Both decisions were made by following my heart. In the end, Dr. Harper and I agreed to leave in about a month. Back home, I took out the wine from the wine cabinet and started drinking glass after glass. In just 1 month, I could finally leave completely. My best friend Sophie sent me a WeChat message. How's it going? Candlelit dinner romantic, right? I told you Fu Shen loves you so much, just flatter him a little, and you'll win him over. Everyone said Fu Shen loved me, and I used to believe it too. It turns out men can pretend to love someone and deceive everyone. Looking up at the ring on my ring finger, I laughed sarcastically. This was the ring Fu Shen bought for me after working as a deliverman for 3 months. At the time, he and his friends had just started their own business, and all their money was invested in the new company. To buy me a decent ring, he worked at the company during the day and delivered takeout at night. He only slept less than 3 hours a day. One time, he was so tired that he dozed off while riding his electric scooter and crashed onto the road. Luckily, a passing car braked in time, otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When I arrived at the hospital, his hands and feet were covered in blood, and his clothes were stained red. When he saw me, Fu Shen quickly hid his injured hands behind his back. With tears in my eyes, I asked him why he had done all this. He awkwardly wiped away my tears. Silly girl, of course I wanted to marry you sooner. Such a beautiful girl, what if someone else took you away? You're already mine, and I couldn't bear to let you go. Later, we made a lot of money, and our financial situation improved. But I've always kept this ring. Fu Shen once offered to replace it with a bigger diamond ring, but I refused. It's more precious to me than any diamond ring. Recalling how nervous Fu Shen looked when he proposed to me, I took off the ring and placed it on the dining table. His words still echo in my ears. But the person is no longer the same as before. This ring, I no longer need it. In the middle of the night, Fu Shen sent a message. Honey, there's a complicated issue at work. I might not be able to come back today. Don't wait for me. Get some rest. I'm with Yifeng. It seems he's already talked to Ethan. The two of them are really good friends. I didn't reply. Because I'd drunk too much, I fell asleep on the sofa. In my dream, I saw Fu Shen for the first time. At the time, we were both freshmen in college. During military training, the first thing Fu Shen said to me was, "Hello, you're very beautiful." Such an old-fashioned pickup line. Because of that line, he was teased by his roommates for an entire year. Later, he often messaged me on WeChat. Even though we weren't in the same major, I kept running into him on campus. There were many people who pursued me in college, and at first, I didn't feel anything for him. But I was gradually won over by his sincerity and enthusiasm. After we started dating, Fu Shen pampered me endlessly. Everyone around us envied me for having such a thoughtful boyfriend. We went through undergraduate and graduate school together. After I graduated from graduate school, Fu Shen proposed to me. I accepted without hesitation. Fu Shen held me tightly, his eyes red with joy, choking out, "Wan Wan, believe me, I'll give you a good life." I'll never let you down. Now, I've lost everything. But I can only accept the consequences of my choices. The next morning, I was woken up by my phone's alarm. My pillow was soaked with tears. Fu Shen hadn't come back all night. I told myself in my heart that this was the last time I would cry for him. I got up, went to the bathroom to wash up quickly, and prepared to go to work. Although I had decided to quit my job, I had an outpatient appointment today and medical records to write, so I couldn't take the day off. That's how the adult world works. No matter how painful it is, you can't forget about work. Before going to work, I called a lawyer friend I knew to consult about divorce-related matters. There was no dramatic entanglement or complaints. I didn't need some devoted second male lead to suddenly appear and save me, only to humiliate Fu Shen. My life has never been about just Fu Shen. I have my own path. Divorce was the only outcome I could think of for the two of us. After submitting my resignation letter in the morning, I went to work. The workload was heavy, and the busyness temporarily made me forget about Fu Shen. But unexpectedly, before I could go find Fu Shen, he came to the hospital on his own. At that moment, I was about to take some documents to the ward to find the patient's family when I spotted a familiar figure in the distance. It was Fu Shen, holding tightly to Shen Xinyue, whose face was streaked with tears. The two of them rushed anxiously toward the cardiovascular ward. That was exactly the ward I was heading to. It turned out that Shen Xinyue's mother had fallen ill. Seeing her mother's haggard face, Shen Xinyue cried so hard she couldn't stand up by the bed. Fu Shen stood beside her, gently patting her and comforting her with tenderness. Shen's mother said she had no regrets in life, but she was worried that if she left, her daughter would be left alone in the world to suffer without anyone to take care of her. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows, because the patient I was looking for was Shen's mother. In my memory, her condition wasn't that serious. Upon hearing this, Shen Xinyue immediately told her mother that she had a boyfriend and not to worry. When Shen's mother asked who it was, Shen Xinyue turned to Fu Shen with a pleading look. Fu Shen immediately wrapped his arms around Shen Xinyue's waist, looking natural. "Auntie, I'm Xinyue's boyfriend. You can rest assured and focus on getting better. I'll take care of Xinyue for you." After saying this, he gave Shen Xinyue a doting glance. Shen's mother still didn't believe him and insisted that the two kiss in front of her before she would agree to get proper treatment. This time, Fu Shen looked reluctant and couldn't help but glance around. Shen Xinyue pulled at his sleeve with her hand, her face pleading. Fu Shen ultimately couldn't refuse and lowered his head to kiss her. I walked into the ward expressionlessly and took a photo with my phone. Since I had decided to divorce, having more evidence on my phone wouldn't hurt. Fu Shen opened his eyes and saw me, pushing Shen Xinyue away forcefully. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with unprecedented anxiety and fear. "Wan?" Shen Xinyue, who had been slightly resentful, also changed her expression upon hearing my name. She looked at me in terror. They were all afraid I would cause a scene in public. But I spoke calmly, "The family member of patient in bed 03, please come sign the documents." After speaking, I turned and left the ward. Fu Shen and Shen Xinyue followed closely behind. I handed the documents to Shen Xinyue to fill out. "Your mother just has a blocked blood vessel. She'll undergo a stent implantation surgery tomorrow. She can be discharged 3 days after the surgery. I already told her yesterday." Hearing this, Shen Xinyue's hand holding the pen trembled, and she glanced nervously at Fu Shen. Fu Shen pursed his lips. "Why are you at this hospital? I transferred here a year ago." Fu Shen's throat tightened, and he couldn't say anything else. His wife had changed jobs over a year ago, and he didn't even know. It was clear how little he cared. Shen Xinyue handed me the completed documents. When I saw the address, my movements froze. The address she had written was the first place Fu Shen and I had lived together. At the time, Fu Shen had bought it and put it in my name. He had told me, "This place holds all our beautiful memories. From now on, you're the only one who belongs here. No other woman has the right to enter without your permission." Fu Shen seemed to sense this and tried to explain, but Shen Xinyue beat him to it. "Sister Wan, I'm sorry. My previous landlord suddenly decided to sell the house and kicked me out. Adrian couldn't bear to see me homeless, so he gave me the keys. Don't blame Adrian, blame me instead." I looked up at Shen Xinyue's pitiful expression. Youth truly makes one easy to pity. How long have you been living here? Shen Xinyue was taken aback, apparently not expecting me to remain so calm. 2 months. Alright, Miss Shen should know that this house is registered under my name alone. The rent is currently 8,000 per month based on market rates. Please transfer the payment to me within the next few days. Additionally, I plan to sell the house soon, so please move out as soon as possible. Shen Xinyue looked at Fu Shen with a pout, only to find him staring intently at me. Of course, if Miss Shen can't afford it, you can find someone else to pay me. As long as you pay, I don't care where the money comes from. Fu Shen furrowed his brows and clenched his teeth. Jiang Wan, is this amusing to you? It's not amusing at all. So, when you have time, let's discuss the divorce. Upon hearing the word divorce, I clearly saw joy on Shen Xinyue's face. Fu Shen's expression darkened. Do you really need to do this? I was just helping out, giving you a kiss, and you're making a big deal out of it? Is that so? Then can I also help out by kissing other men casually? You dare? Humph, hypocrite. I sneered. It seems Mr. Foster didn't have enough fun at the hotel last night. No problem, I'll move out today, and you can go home and play. Fu Shen froze, his voice hoarse. You already know? I didn't respond. I'll have the divorce agreement drafted by my lawyer and sent to you as soon as possible. I turned to leave, but Fu Shen grabbed my hand. Only then did he notice that I wasn't wearing my wedding ring. Jiang Wan, are you serious? I pulled my hand away and walked off, unwilling to argue with him at the hospital. There was nothing left to say between us now except divorce. Fu Shen's furious voice echoed behind me. Jiang Wan, don't regret this. This time, I won't humiliate myself by begging you. The position of Mrs. Fu isn't meant for you. There are plenty of others who want it. It turns out that when one is at a loss for words, one really does feel like laughing. He was the one who cheated, yet he had the nerve to confront me so boldly. I have no idea where he gets the audacity. That evening, my close colleagues threw me a farewell party at a KTV. Everyone was sad to hear I was leaving. But knowing I had better opportunities, they were genuinely happy for me. On my way back from the restroom, I saw Fu Shen in the adjacent private room with a few friends. From their conversation, it seemed they were talking about me. Adrian, do you think his wife is really going to divorce him? In my opinion, it's all because she's been spoiled. My wife used to act up too, but now she's all obedient. Women just can't be spoiled. If it were me, I'd just let her go. If she wants a divorce, she can go. There's still a 30-day cooling-off period. Once she realizes we're not desperate for her, she'll naturally get scared. Can you really compare yourselves to Adrian? He's famous for being a wife-pampering maniac. I know all these women. Either they're cheating on their husbands and using their husbands' money to secretly keep young lovers. Or they're using their husbands as long-term breadwinners for their children. They hold on to their positions as the main wife so they can secure the best possible future for their children. These days, no woman is that stupid. They wouldn't waste their lives on a jerk. Fu Shen had been drinking with a stern expression, but when everyone else was secretly gauging his mood, he suddenly said, after all these years, it's time to teach her a lesson. Hearing Fu Shen's words, the atmosphere in the private room grew lively once more. Sis-in-law? What are you doing here? Did you come to find Adrian? Come in quickly, Adrian is inside. Before I could react, I was pushed into the private room by Fu Shen's men. When Fu Shen saw me, his brows relaxed instantly, and his hand gripping the wine glass slowly loosened. But he still kept his face stern and didn't look at me. At that moment, I noticed that all the other men had one or two female companions drinking with them, but Fu Shen didn't. Ethan immediately clarified. Sis, don't misunderstand. These women are all ours, they have nothing to do with Adrian. Sis, sit down quickly. Who else would dare sit next to Adrian besides you? Fu Shen had already moved his jacket away from his side, clearing a spot for me to sit. Ethan began clearing the area, calling the women to leave. I hurriedly stopped him. No need. I'm here with colleagues and need to leave. Besides, Fu Shen and I are getting divorced. These matters have nothing to do with me. Before I could finish, Fu Shen interrupted me. He seemed unwilling to hear the word divorce. Jiang Wan, have you had enough fun? Jokes have their limits. I looked straight at Fu Shen. I'm not joking. Do you remember what I said the first time you got drunk at the KTV? I'm serious. Fu Shen's expression changed upon hearing this, clearly recalling the incident. At the time, Fu Shen was drunk and mistook another girl for me, almost kissing her. Luckily, I arrived just in time. Back then, I told Fu Shen, if you've been with someone else, I don't want you anymore. As I reached the door, I heard the sound of a glass shattering behind me. It was Fu Shen smashing the glass he was holding. Jiang Wan, you want a divorce, don't you? I'll grant you your wish. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Fine. This was exactly what I wanted. After the party that night, I went back to Fu Shen's house to pack my things. I had already asked Sophie to help me rent a place near her house. Anyway, I wouldn't be staying there for long. As I was leaving with my luggage, I happened to run into Shen Xinyue bringing back the drunk Fu Shen. Our eyes met, and Shen Xinyue had a smug expression on her face. She placed Fu Shen on the sofa. Just as I was about to stand up, Fu Shen pulled me into his arms. Honey, I feel so bad. Hold me. The more Shen Xinyue struggled, the tighter Fu Shen held her. Honey, don't leave me. Shen Xinyue glanced at me, her face flushing red. Mr. Foster, let go of me first. Don't do this. There are other people here. I had no interest in watching the two of them flirt, so I took my luggage and left. The next day, I brought the divorce agreement drafted by my lawyer and finalized the divorce with Fu Shen. The assets were divided equally, and the process went smoothly. As we were leaving, Fu Shen spoke up. Jiang Wan, do you feel defeated now? Do you think I'll beg you like I used to? A person's patience has its limits. I hope you know that I won't always tolerate your unreasonable behavior. I didn't respond, staring at the divorce agreement in my hands, a faint smile curving my lips. In 30 days, I'll be completely done with Fu Shen. Fu Shen furrowed his brows. I'll find another place for Shen Xinyue to stay in the next few days. Her rent, I'll have my assistant transfer the money to you shortly. I nodded. All right, I've already packed my things from your place. You can throw away the rest. Don't forget to come back in 30 days. I turned to leave. Fu Shen suddenly spoke up. It wasn't me who called Shen Xinyue to pick me up yesterday. I was drunk, and she happened to call. The waiter overheard and called her over. Fu Shen, you don't need to explain so much to me. This is your personal matter. Fu Shen's expression grew even more grim. The next day, I boarded the flight to Shanghai. Dr. Harper had a 5-day academic forum in Shanghai, but he couldn't attend, so he asked me to go in his place. I also wanted to get out and clear my head, so I agreed. Over the 5 days, I learned a lot and met many industry legends. The days were fulfilling, and I didn't think about Fu Shen once. See? Love isn't that important to a person. There are so many more meaningful things in life waiting for me to do. The day after I returned, I went back to work at the hospital. As soon as I finished work, I saw Fu Shen standing not far away. Leaning against a black Maybach, a cigarette between his fingers, his clothes disheveled, and his face haggard. A male colleague who was leaving work with me leaned over and whispered in my ear, "He's been waiting here for days. I heard he asked the security guard about you and found out you weren't working, so he's been waiting outside every day." After saying that, he looked at me with concern and asked if I needed help. I shook my head to indicate I didn't need any help. Just as I was about to say goodbye, I saw Fu Shen walking toward me. As he approached, I noticed his eyes were bloodshot, clearly having not slept for days. His face was also covered in stubble, which was almost unthinkable for someone who had once had a mild. Dr. Carter is really impressive, finding the next target so quickly. I wonder what his reaction will be when he finds out you have a former husband who followed you for 10 years. Fu Shen, maybe 10 years is a long time for you, but for me, it's nothing. Not getting the response he wanted, Fu Shen seemed a bit shaken. Jiang Wan, did you think that by disappearing for a few days, you could see how worried and desperate I was for you? Unfortunately, you're disappointed. I didn't even call you once in the past few days. You can ask your friends, I didn't even ask them where you went. Then why are you here now? Fu Shen was stumped by my question and seemed unsure why he had come here. After a long pause, he finally spoke, "You changed the locks on that house, so I can't get in." Fu Shen was referring to the house where Shen Xinyue had been living. It seemed he had been there in the past few days. I nodded, Yes, that's my house. I'm planning to sell it. To prevent strangers from entering, I changed the locks. Fu Shen couldn't believe it. You really plan to sell it? Can you bear to part with it? What's there to be sad about? It's useless now. The real estate agent will bring people to view the house in a few days. If you have anything you want to take, you can go then. When I said it was useless, Fu Shen's eyes turned red, and a flash of hurt appeared in his eyes. In the past, every time Fu Shen and I argued, as long as he showed that expression, I would lose all my anger and run over to comfort him. But now, everything has changed. He is no longer the Fu Shen who would do anything for me, and I am no longer the Jiang one who trusted him wholeheartedly. His tears can flow for me, but they can also flow for other women. I took a step forward to leave, but Fu Shen seemed unwilling to let me go. He hurriedly spoke up, "There's one more thing. I can't make it for the time we agreed on to get the divorce certificate. We'll have to reschedule." Seeing an expression other than indifference on my face, Fu Shen smiled satisfactorily. "Fu Shen, don't joke around like this. No matter what happens, you must be at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. I don't have the time to waste with you. After all, I had already promised Dr. Harper that I would get the divorce certificate within a month and leave the country. I don't want us to end up suing each other." Fu Shen's smile froze. "You really want a divorce? Isn't that what you want too?" That way, he could be with Shen Xinyue openly. Fu Shen didn't deny it. "We'll talk about it later. Anyway, I'm not sure about my schedule either." Satisfied with my angry expression, Fu Shen drove away. Back home, I took 2 bottles of wine to Sophie's house. Fu Shen is such a jerk. Sophie slammed down the wine glass and angrily berated Fu Shen. "If I had known he was like this, I shouldn't have helped him when he proposed to you." I poured more wine into their glasses and shook my head with a smile. Who can predict the future? Even if love starts out fiery and passionate, in the end, it all comes down to conscience. I'm just glad I realized it wasn't too late, and everything is still salvageable. I heard that during the 5 days you were gone, Fu Shen didn't even go back to the company. He handed everything over to Ethan and spent every day waiting outside the hospital for you. Disappearing for 5 days is one thing, but if you really went abroad, he'd go crazy. Sophie's tone carried a hint of schadenfreude. But I didn't care at all about how Fu Shen would handle my departure. All I can think about now is how to help Dr. Harper with his experiments after I go abroad, and whether Fu Shen will stand me up on our wedding day. Everything else is out of my consideration. Sophie picked up her glass and clinked it against mine. All right, Evelyn is all about her career. I love it. The next morning, after waking up from the hangover, I received a call from the real estate agent. They told me the house had been sold, and the buyer paid the full amount without any haggling. I was relieved to finally have some good news and asked the agent to expedite the property transfer procedures. In the days that followed, I was busy with hospital handover procedures and preparing to move abroad. Fu Shen occasionally called me. He only asked trivial questions like where his clothes and tie were. After a while, I stopped answering his calls. If it weren't for the divorce certificate I needed to retrieve, I would have blocked him immediately. Later, Ethan contacted me once, informing me that Shen Xinyue had been fired by Fu Shen. He also said that Fu Shen was in a really bad state lately, and had gotten drunk and gotten into a fight with someone yesterday. I have no good feelings toward him as a brother, and just replied coldly, "If you're injured, go to the hospital. Telling me is useless." I understood his intentions. He was just trying to plead for Fu Shen. But the root of the matter has never been Shen Xinyue. A mistress is indeed shameful, and even if she's despised by everyone, she doesn't deserve pity. But the man who cheated is the true source of evil. Without a mistress, there would still be a 4th or 5th. Once a man gets involved with such things, it's not easy to quit. And I have no interest in being a bitter wife. The day before we were supposed to get the divorce papers, I was packing my bags at home, wondering if I should call Fu Shen to remind him. But before I could decide, Fu Shen showed up on his own. He arrived with a menacing aura, glaring at me with a fierce expression. "Were you the one who sent the photos of me cheating to my father?" I was completely taken aback. "What? Don't try to play dumb. If you hadn't told my father about my affair, would he have suffered a heart attack and collapsed at home? If it weren't for Yaya discovering it in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable." Only then did I understand what Fu Shen was saying, and my expression darkened. I had considered asking Fu Shen's father to talk him out of it, but since Fu Shen's father had heart disease, I feared it might trigger him, so I quickly dismissed the idea. Fu Shen, if you don't have a brain, go to the hospital and get it checked. I'm a cardiologist. Do you think I'd joke around with a patient's life? Before I could finish speaking, Fu Shen's fist had already slammed into the wall behind me. His eyes filled with pain. Jiang Wan, you've really disappointed me this time. I never thought you were this kind of person. You just want a divorce, don't you? I'll grant you your wish. I'll be there on time tomorrow. Watching Fu Shen's departing figure, I no longer felt the urge to explain further. He wasn't in a state to listen to anything now. Perhaps this is for the best. He doesn't trust me, so there's no point in saying anything. At least this will make him go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate, which is a good thing for me. When I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. It was as if a heavy weight had finally been lifted off my chest. On the other hand, Fu Shen had been frowning the entire time. He opened his mouth to say something, but was interrupted by his phone ringing. On the other end of the line was Shen Xinyue's anxious voice. It seemed that something had happened on Fu Shen's father's side. Fu Shen hung up and hurried away. Before getting into the car, he glanced at me with a complicated expression. Shen Wan, you should reflect on yourself recently. I'll talk to you about our matters later. The divorce certificate is already in hand. What else is there to talk about? Watching Fu Shen's car drive away, I spoke slowly. Fu Shen, we'll never see each other again. That afternoon, I packed my things and boarded the flight to Germany. In Fu Shen's eyes, I seemed to be throwing a tantrum. He never understood me. Once I made a decision, I never looked back. After landing in Germany, the first thing I did was change my phone number. Except for my parents and a few close friends, I cut off contact with everyone back home. I threw myself into Dr. Harper's experiment. 2 years later, my team and I returned to China with the latest research findings. Before returning home, I called Sophie. Actually, there's something I've never told you. 6 months after you left, Fu Shen came looking for me. I shrugged indifferently, so what? That bastard, just to find out where you were, he knelt down in the company lobby. I was so scared I called the police right away and had them take him away. I raised an eyebrow, that crazy? Hearing about Fu Shen again, I felt surprisingly calm, as if I were listening to gossip about a stranger. Yeah, I think it's crazy too. Now he regrets it, but why didn't he do something sooner? That cheating scum. Let's not talk about him. But I'm surprised you didn't contact me all these years. Aren't people always saying that the best way to forget a relationship is to dive into a new one? I laughed. That kind of thing can't rely on others, you have to rely on yourself. Fu Shen's story taught me the deepest lesson. A man's true feelings are the most unreliable thing. In reality, no one can save or heal your pain. The things I've lost, I have to get back on my own. If you choose to be with someone else just to forget someone, that's unfair to the person who comes later. I knew going back would inevitably mean seeing Fu Shen. I didn't plan to avoid him on purpose. But I never expected to run into Fu Shen at the first industry cocktail party I attended after returning to the country. At that moment, Fu Shen stood not far away, his eyes bloodshot, staring at me as if he were about to burst into tears. I tried to ignore him, but he grabbed my wrist and pulled me outside. In the garden, Fu Shen held me in his arms and repeated, "I'm sorry," countless times. I kept pushing him away. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and poured the red wine I was holding onto his face. "Are you sober yet? If not, I don't mind having the police drag you away." Fu Shen wiped the wine off his face, looking much more sober but even more dejected. "I know everything Shen Xinyue did, including the text messages she sent you and what happened with my father. I've already kicked her out of this city. She'll never appear in our lives again. Wan, what happened before was my fault. I regret it." I laughed lightly. "Those things don't matter to me anymore. Because I don't love him, they don't matter anymore." Fu Shen looked at me tearfully. Wan, can you come back to me? I haven't stopped thinking about you for a single moment these past years. I've always loved you." I looked at him coldly. "Fu Shen, don't forget, we're already divorced." "No, that's not true. I didn't really want to divorce you. I just wanted to scare you." In my heart, you'll always be my wife. After saying that, Fu Shen took off the necklace around his neck. It was the wedding ring I had placed on the dining table 2 years ago. At that moment, I noticed that Fu Shen was also wearing our wedding ring on his ring finger. To be honest, it was pretty disgusting. Fu Shen, we ended things 2 years ago. I hope you won't keep bothering me and make me look down on you. My words had no effect on Fu Shen. Ever since he found out where I was, he's been showing up in my life all the time. He claims he's just trying to win me back one more time. I could chase after you in college, and I can still do it now. Wan, this time I won't let you go. I snapped. Do you think I'd jump into the same pit twice? The first time, I could say I was naive. But jumping into the same pit again would just make me stupid. But no matter how harshly I spoke to him, Fu Shen refused to give up. There was nothing I could do, so I had to ignore him and focus on my work. After all, we were only back in the country for a few months, and every day was busy. In the following days, Dr. Harper went to the hospital to perform surgery on a heart patient. The patient's family had been waiting for a long time to secure Dr. Harper's services. Moreover, the case was very special, so Dr. Harper asked me to assist him. After 7 hours, from day to night, the surgery was finally completed successfully. After coming out, Dr. Harper had just exchanged a few words with the patient's family. Suddenly, the situation became chaotic. It was reported that some family members were dissatisfied with the hospital's treatment and were holding a knife, intending to take revenge. We were about to evacuate when we saw the family members holding the knife rushing toward us. I pushed Dr. Harper aside and prepared to kick him. Suddenly, a figure grabbed me tightly. It was Fu Shen. I couldn't break free. The next second, the knife pierced Fu Shen's back. When Fu Shen woke up, it was already noon the next day. He saw me sitting beside him and forced a reassuring smile. Wan, don't worry, I'm fine. I spoke coldly. Fu Shen, are you an idiot? If it weren't for you, I could have kicked that madman away with one kick. Over the past 2 years abroad, besides conducting experiments, I spent all my free time training in kickboxing. On one hand, it was to build my physical strength. On the other hand, it was because safety abroad couldn't compare to that in China, so it was better for self-protection. Judging by that man's build yesterday, he wasn't a match for me. If it weren't for Fu Shen, I would have subdued him long ago. Hearing my words, Fu Shen's expression grew somber again. I was just worried you'd get hurt. There's no need. Don't even think about using getting hurt as an excuse to ask me for another chance. From the moment you called me disgusting, we've been over. So, if I told you now that I never had anything with Shen Xinyue, you wouldn't believe me, would you? Fu Shen gave a self-deprecating smile. I didn't want her. At the hotel, I stopped at the last moment. Because I thought of you, so I couldn't go through with it. Thinking about it now, it's pretty ridiculous. I didn't explain myself back then because I was just being stubborn. I wanted you to admit you were wrong, even if it was just a kind word, but you never did. Fu Shen took out the keys from his wallet. The house you sold 2 years ago was actually bought by me. I couldn't bear to let someone else buy it. I've been living there for the past 2 years. It's filled with all our beautiful memories. Every time I see it, I think of you, as if you've never left. Fu Shen spoke, unable to hold back his tears. This self-pitying act made me want to laugh. Fu Shen, you really are pretty ridiculous. You don't think that only having a physical relationship counts as cheating, do you? Your hugs and kisses, I saw them all with my own eyes. You say you thought of me at the last moment, but I don't feel moved. I just feel sick to my stomach. After saying that, I stood up to leave, but Fu Shen grabbed my sleeve. His choked voice came through. Is there really no possibility for us? I coldly shook him off. Fu Shen, let's part ways amicably. Don't make me regret loving you. I left the ward without looking back. Behind me, the man's sobs grew louder, unable to be contained. Soon, I left the country again. On the plane, Dr. Harper outlined the plan for the future. A few young people looked gloomy, complaining that they had aged 10 years in a year and their hair was falling out. They were scolded harshly by Dr. Harper. I laughed along beside him. I turned to look at the distant scenery. The path ahead, I would no longer be confined by the limitations of the present. What I longed for was a more free and vast sky.